This is the story of a man who spent 11 years cleaning floors in silence, while everybody around him moved forward in life. No degree, no savings, no future. Until one rainy night, he found something under a bus seat that completely changed the direction of his life. And what was written inside it made him realize he had been wasting years of his life without even knowing it. But before we start, I want you to answer honestly. Have you ever felt like life was moving forward for everyone except you? Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And if you enjoy stories like this, like the video and subscribe, because the next story might be the one that changes your life too. In the city of Chicago, there lived a 33-year-old janitor named Daniel Brooks. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., Daniel woke up in a tiny apartment beside a noisy highway. The walls were cracked, the heater barely worked, and every month, after paying rent, food, and bills, he usually had less than $50 left. Daniel worked inside a downtown office building, cleaning bathrooms, emptying trash bins, and mopping floors after wealthy employees went home. Most people never looked at him twice. Some didn't even know his name. To them, he was just the cleaning guy. But what hurt Daniel most wasn't the money. It was the feeling that his life had completely stopped moving. Every day looked exactly the same. Wake up, work, come home exhausted, sleep, repeat. While other people his age were buying houses, getting married, traveling, and building careers, Daniel felt frozen in place. One night during his break, he sat alone in the empty cafeteria scrolling through social media. Old classmates smiling beside expensive cars, friends posting engagement photos, business owners showing luxury vacations. Daniel locked his phone and stared at his reflection in the dark cafeteria window. "What happened to me?" he whispered quietly. Because deep down, he remembered having dreams once. When he was younger, Daniel loved drawing. He wanted to become an architect. But after his father died unexpectedly, Daniel dropped out of community college to help support his mother. Years passed, bills piled up, and somehow, temporary struggles slowly became permanent life. The next few years disappeared faster than he realized, until one rainy Thursday night changed everything. Daniel had just finished a late shift. It was almost midnight. Rain hammered against the streets as he boarded the last city bus home. The bus was nearly empty, only an exhausted nurse sleeping near the back, and an old man quietly reading near the window. Daniel sat down heavily and closed his eyes. That's when he noticed it. A black notebook lying partly underneath the seat beside him. At first, he ignored it, probably forgotten by another passenger. But something made him pick it up. The cover simply read, "If you feel stuck, read this." Daniel frowned immediately. Inside were handwritten notes, not motivational quotes, not poems, detailed daily routines, schedules, habits, business ideas, lessons about money, discipline, fear, and one sentence highlighted across an entire page. Your life changes the moment you stop consuming and start building. Daniel stared at the words for a long time. Then he kept reading. The notebook belonged to someone named Marcus Hale. Page after page described how Marcus went from being broke and depressed to building a successful construction company. But what shocked Daniel most was this. Marcus had started in almost the exact same situation. Night shifts, no degree, tiny apartment, hopeless. And yet somehow, he escaped. One section of the notebook hit Daniel harder than anything else. It said, "Most people stay poor because they spend all their free time escaping reality instead of improving it." Daniel closed the notebook slowly because he knew it was true. Every night after work, he watched random videos, scrolled endlessly, and complained silently about life instead of building anything. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The notebook stayed in his mind like a voice refusing to leave. especially one final sentence written near the back. If you do this for 1 year straight, your old life will disappear. Below it was a simple system. Wake up early, exercise daily, learn one valuable skill, save aggressively, stop wasting time trying to impress people, and build something every single day. Daniel laughed quietly at first, because it sounded impossible. His life already exhausted him. How was he supposed to do more? But another part of him kept thinking, what if this actually works? The next morning, for the first time in years, Daniel woke up 1 hour earlier. Not because he wanted to, because he was curious. He walked outside while the city was still dark and silent, and for some strange reason, it felt peaceful, like he had stepped into a different world nobody else noticed. That morning, Daniel searched how to learn graphic design for free, because architecture felt too impossible now. But design still felt close enough to the dream he once had. Every day after work, instead of scrolling social media for hours, Daniel studied. At first, it was frustrating. The tutorials were confusing, his designs looked terrible, and many nights he wanted to quit. But the notebook stayed beside his bed, almost like a reminder. Weeks turned into months. Something slowly changed. Daniel became more disciplined, more focused, more confident. He stopped comparing himself to everyone online. He stopped wasting money on things he didn't need. And for the first time in years, he started feeling proud of himself again. 6 months later, Daniel uploaded his first freelance design project online. He earned $40. Not much, but to him, it felt life-changing, because it was the first money he had ever made using his mind instead of just his physical labor. That one small success changed everything. Daniel became obsessed. Every night after work, study, practice, build, learn, repeat. 1 year after finding the notebook, Daniel was earning more from freelance design than from janitor work. And then something happened he never imagined. One of his online projects caught the attention of a real estate company. They offered him a full-time junior design position. Benefits, salary, office job, career growth. Daniel stared at the email for nearly 10 minutes before realizing it was real. At 34 years old, his entire life had changed. Not because of luck, not because somebody rescued him, because one day, he finally decided to stop escaping reality and start building a future. 2 years later, Daniel moved his mother into a beautiful apartment overlooking a lake. The tiny apartment beside the highway was gone. The night shifts were gone. But the black notebook still sat on his desk. One evening, Daniel opened it again. And inside the back cover, he noticed something he had somehow missed before. A small, handwritten line. After you change your life, leave this notebook for someone else. Daniel smiled quietly. The next morning, he boarded the same late-night city bus, sat near the back, and gently placed the notebook beneath the seat before walking away. Because somewhere in that city, someone else probably felt stuck too. And maybe they were only one decision away from changing everything. So tell me honestly, if you found that notebook tonight, would you actually follow it? Or would you ignore it and keep living the same life?